This is 1 p.m. in Bangkok on 1st July. Good afternoon and welcome to Thailand Global Network News. We would now start with the outbreak news from Saudi Arabia. Where unknown hijacker intentionally clashed two airlines in Abiquick, the world's largest oil processing facilities, causing severe damage to the country's oil export capacities. Our Thailand Global Network senior correspondent, Katie, is reporting from Tehran for us this afternoon. Katie, could you tell us what happened at Saudi Arabia's largest oil complex?
Yes, Jenny. Early this morning, two commercial airplanes en route to Dubai were hijacked by unknown terrorists. At 7 in the morning, Universal Airlines Flight 115 was crashed into the oil processing plant in Abiquick, followed by Global Airline Flight 120, which hit the NGL processing plant in Abiquick at 7:30. Major oil processing plants were badly destroyed, and all the workers were ordered to evacuate from the sites. The two hijacked airliner has around 430 passengers aboard, and all of them are feared dead because of the strenuous effort of the firefighter. The fire is almost under control now. The Saudi authorities have not made any public statement on the casualty. However, according to industry source close to Saudi Aramco, at least 20 workers on the site were killed or missing, and dozens of people were taken to the nearby hospital for treatment. Regarding the damages against the facility, just half an hour ago, a spokesman for Saudi Ministry of Petroleum and Mineral Resources made a short statement that Saudi Aramco will investigate the damages against the Arabic oil processing facility as soon as possible. But he did not mention how long it would take to repair the damages and when Saudi Aramco can resume its operation at this oil processing facility. Today's terrorists attracted serious damage to the country's oil export capacity.
Thank you, Katie. Do you have any information on who's behind this attack and how long will it take to repair and to resume operations at the oil processing facilities?
So far, there has been no claim of responsibility. It's not clear yet which terrorist group was behind the attacks. According to one of U.S. oil companies that have long-term contracts for purchase of Saudi crude oil, it would take at least a month or two before the damaged oil processing facility is operational again.
Thank you for your report, Katie. Now, we have asked our Thailand Global Network senior energy analyst, Mr. Paul, to comment on the events in Saudi Arabia. Mr. Paul, thank you for joining us today. What's your first analysis following the attack against the critical oil infrastructure in Saudi Arabia, and how do you see the impact on the global oil market?
What happened in Abiquick today is a very significant blow, not only to Saudi Arabia, but also to the global oil market, because Saudi Arabia is expected to have lost a major portion of its oil production capabilities. Abiquick processes about 6 million barrels per day of crude oil, most of which is exported. The other OPEC countries cannot compensate for this loss. They don't have that level of spare production capacity.
Could you elaborate on the importance of Abiquick facilities which was damaged today?
Abiquick is the main oil processing center for Saudi Arabia's crude oil, with a capacity of about 7 million barrels a day. At Abiquick, crude is stabilized by controlling the levels of dissolved gas, natural gas liquids, and hydrogen sulfide. This reduces the oil vapor pressure, making the crude oil safe for shipping in tankers. Once this is done, the crude can be transported to export terminals in Ras Tanura and Ras Al Juama on the east coast, and Yanbu on the west coast.
So most of the crude oil produced in Saudi Arabia need to pass through these upcook facilities to be safely shipped in the oil tankers?
That's right. This is an important part of the process for exporting oil from Saudi Arabia. With this facility out of operation, exports from the country are severely disrupted. This includes exports that are made from oil terminals in both the east and the west.
You said that the oil market is likely to lose Saudi Arabia exports. How much exactly will it be lost, and which country will be affected?
This loss of Saudi exports, roughly 6 million barrels per day, will impact everyone. The oil market is a global one, so even countries which don't normally get their oil imports from Saudi Arabia will feel the impact. The normal buyers of Saudi oil look to replace the lost volume, putting pressure on the global supply and demand balance.
Who are the normal buyers of this oil?
Saudi Arabia has long-term contracts with various international oil companies, and it is a key oil supplier to the United States, Western Europe and Asia. Asia, including Japan, South Korea, China and India, now receives more than 50% of Saudi Arabia's crude oil exports, as well as the majority of its refined petroleum product and NLG exports. The United States is the single largest importer of Saudi oil, taking in nearly 1.5 million barrels a day from that country. That's about 12% of the US's total imports. But again, the oil market is a global one, so many more countries are likely to be affected by this supply disruption originating in Saudi Arabia.
We have heard from reports that repair would take at least a month, maybe longer. How will the oil markets deal with these situations?
As I mentioned, it is not always so easy to make up for the roughly 6 million barrels per day of Saudi oil which markets have lost. We might have to prepare for the worst case scenario that would take several weeks for Saudi oil exports to resume at their normal level. OPEC spare capacity is always an important factor in dealing with a sudden supply disruption. And currently, the group's capacity is estimated at about 6.5 million barrels per day. But a good portion of this is held by Saudi Arabia itself, so likely not available in this case. And of the available capacity in other member countries, not all is necessarily possible to bring quickly online due to difficulties in those countries, either related to security issues or political issues.
Mr. Paul, thank you very much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I have just received news information from Vienna. The Secretary General of OPEC announced a few minutes ago that OPEC members have pledged to use their available spare capacity to bring additional supply to the market. Well, we will continue to follow this story closely and we'll get back to you shortly.